So what if I told you that some of the greatest scientific advancements, modern laws, and global infrastructure were built by the absolute worst people in history? Welcome back to the History Dude. History is a beautifully messy landscape, and human progress is rarely a straight line of good guys winning. In fact, it's mostly built on the backs of ruthless ambition and cruelty. The last one will shock you. Comment below a fact that will blow everyone's mind. Today, we're looking at the ultimate historical paradox: good things done by absolutely terrible people. From mob bosses fighting for food safety to despots creating the modern highway, let's look at the disturbing reality of how we got here. Let's start with a guy whose name is basically synonymous with bloody conquest: Genghis Khan. Yes, his empire killed millions, making him the world's most extreme version of corporate team building. But there is a massive however here. Once he conquered you, his Pax Mongolica made trade incredibly safe, and more importantly, he established the Yam, essentially the world's first international postal system. Plus, he enforced a strict policy of religious tolerance. It's a very weird trade-off: mass destruction in exchange for freedom of religion and guaranteed next-day delivery. Speaking of ancient empires, let's jump to the first emperor of China, Huang. This guy was a despot who silenced his critics with absolute violence. But his obsession with control actually laid the foundation for modern China. He standardized the Chinese script and standardized weights and measures. He essentially provided the administrative backbone that has kept China a coherent, unified entity for over 2 millennia. He violently silenced dissent, yet he gave us standardized Chinese script. He was brutal, but his organizational skills were terrifyingly effective. Okay, this is going to be incredibly jarring, but we have to look at the absolute absurdity of the Third Reich. Hitler orchestrated the Holocaust and plunged the world into destruction. Yet simultaneously, his regime built the Autobahn, the literal blueprint for modern highway systems. And bizarrely, they spearheaded the most advanced anti-smoking campaigns of their era. It's a completely bizarre paradox, orchestrating global destruction while simultaneously worrying about the public health risks of a cigarette. Let's move to Napoleon Bonaparte, known as a warmonger who ruined a whole lot of European real estate. But his lasting gift? The Napoleonic Code. This wasn't just a minor law change. This code abolished feudalism, established equality of male citizens before the law, and protected property rights. He ruined Europe with war, but gifted us the Napoleonic Code, establishing male legal equality. Napoleon basically broke Europe, but he gave dozens of modern nations the foundation for their civil law. Now, let's talk about a guy who is mostly famous for treating wives like disposable napkins: King Henry VIII. Beyond his infamous personal life, Henry used his absolute power to bulldoze through medieval traditions. He didn't just build the Royal Navy, he established the Royal College of Physicians. He actively pushed England away from folk remedies and toward regulated, science-based medical care. He was terrible to his spouses, but he's a big reason we trust doctors today. And if we are talking about forcing science on people, we have to talk about Peter the Great of Russia. He decided Russia needed to westernize, and he enforced this through brutal purges. But he was also a huge nerd for science and technology. He personally practiced surgery and dentistry, pushing his nation to adopt modern European medical techniques. He literally dragged Russia into the scientific age, kicking and screaming. Let's lighten the mood slightly with Frederick the Great of Prussia. He was a ruthless military genius who expanded his territory through relentless war. But he was also a champion of the Enlightenment who abolished judicial torture. But his best contribution? He used royal deception to popularize the potato. He tricked people into thinking it was a luxury crop, which made them want to steal and grow it. That single trick ended recurring famines across Europe. War criminal? Yes. Potato marketing genius? Also yes. Okay, let's step away from monarchs and look at outlaws. Al Capone, the face of organized crime and murder in Chicago. He wanted good PR during the Great Depression, so he opened some of the first soup kitchens. But more importantly, he successfully lobbied for milk dating. That's right, the reason you know your milk has spoiled is because a murderous mob boss wanted to stop us from drinking bad dairy. Finally, let's look at Richard Nixon. When you hear his name, you think of the Watergate scandal and massive political corruption, but his domestic legacy is wild. Nixon created the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and signed Title IX, which completely revolutionized gender equality in education and athletics. Oh, and he opened China to the West. It just proves that human advancement is rarely a straight line of good guys winning. The historical record forces a really difficult question. Can we separate a beneficial outcome from a malicious intent? History shows us that progress is often just the byproduct of ambition, even when that ambition is rooted in cruelty. It's a messy, contradictory evolution where the good is frequently built on the bad. So here is my question for you. Out of all these terrible people, whose good deed do you think had the biggest impact on your life today? Was it Genghis Khan's mail service or Al Capone's milk dates? Let me know in the comments below. Stay curious, stay weird, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.